Hey everybody, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hey Q Dizzle. Hey Willie Brown. Sam. Hey Teddy. How you doing? Teddy, are you gonna stay? I want to know your thoughts about the story I'm getting ready to talk about. Are you gonna stay? I don't know how to work the sending the link and all of that stuff. Let me find a link and I'll send it to you on Instagram. Oh Teddy, you in here? Yo, Teddy. Tracy. Is El Teddy still in here? Okay, let me send you the link. Let me figure this out. Give me a minute. I don't know how to work none of this. Sending links and all of that stuff. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, that's not it. I don't know how to do this. But El Teddy would be perfect because El Teddy is. Are you really B? I would love for Really B to be in here too. Both of these individuals are excellent educators, and they would be able to bring some additional insight into what we're talking about today. El Teddy, how I can send you a link? What I do? Is it in settings? Good morning, everybody. Hold on. Oh, invite. Okay. All right. I'm sending it to you on Instagram, El Teddy. Messages. Okay, what did I do? I don't know what I did. Let me. Sorry, y'all. El Teddy popped in here. I was like, oh, I would love for them as educators to tap into this conversation. Oh, here it is. Okay. I sent the link. It's going to be a whole new story if they click the link. Yeah, I'm going to need some help in bringing them on. But El Teddy and Really B are two of my favorites on YouTube. And they are both educators. And being that we are going to be talking about Moms of Liberty and how they are infiltrating school boards across the country, I would love to know their thoughts and them just sharing and providing any expertise in the area. Hey y'all, good morning, Romel. Hey Worried Mama. Hey Dolores Peters, Teresa Craig. Oh, there's El Teddy. Let me bring him on. Add to stream. Okay, let me turn this music off because I'm ready to get to it. Okay. Let me remove this thing. Hold on. You guys, El Teddy has a channel here on YouTube. Hey, El Teddy.
Hey.
I am so appreciative of you popping in for a minute. And I know you're on vacation, you're doing your thing. So let me just quickly tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Moms of Liberty and how they are the daughters of the Confederacy for 2022. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be talking about what went down. God, I keep forgetting the name of that county in South Carolina, but I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yep.
And how those people who were sworn in at that school board meeting and finding out that they were backed by Moms of Liberty, which are the new daughters of the Confederacy, and how they immediately, after being sworn in, moved to fire the Black superintendent
Yep.
and the Black attorney for the school board. You've heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts? You got the floor.
Oh God,
Thoughts?
no, that might be dangerous.
Okay, before let me
no.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now, um, here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, when I was looking at this is in Charleston. If I'm not mistaken, I thought this was either in Charleston or right outside of Charleston.
Let me hold on one second. I think I got the video of the school board. It says Berkeley County. Let's see if Charleston is in Berkeley County. Yes, it is in Berkeley County.
Okay, yeah. I when I was looking at it, I was that's what amazed me so much because South Carolina, the demographics for South Carolina is such that there is a large black population, but for the longest time and for whatever reason, I mean, remnants of slavery or whatever, Charleston has been as red as you can imagine. Charleston has been the bastion of discrimination, racism, and everything you could think of. However, comma,
Mm-hmm.
there's a large black population in Charleston, huge, and not just Charleston, South Carolina, just period. And I think just to give a little bit, the reason that I'm going down this direction is to show you how we got here.
Uh-huh.
If you recall, remember Jamie Harrison
Mm-hmm.
almost beat Lady G in
Mm-hmm.
2020,
Mm-hmm.
which shows the power of, and they didn't even get all of the black vote that they want. They didn't even get the numbers to come out that they wanted, but they got
Mm-hmm.
more than they normally get.
Right.
South Carolina has one of the only black senators in this country. Now, mind you, he's black presenting, as I like to call him, not black for real, but black presenting. But Tim Scott is a United States senator out of South Carolina. So the point that I'm making is South Carolina has a large presence in terms of black people.
Mm-hmm.
And when we sit back and we don't participate, we don't stay informed, we have situations and instances like what we have in Charleston, which is a very, very concentrated area of black people. That's how they got that black superintendent.
Yep.
That's how they got that black school board attorney. And to ceremoniously have these white women come in here and say, no, not so. We ain't having none of this blackness up in here. Matter of fact, y'all ain't gonna even be able to say black or African American. in these schools. We don't want to hear no parts of black people. We don't want y'all learning no parts of what happened to black people. And we don't want no parts of no superintendent who wants y'all to learn about the history of black people. And we don't want no attorney and lawyer for the school board that's actually going to practice real law, who's actually going to earn his jurisprudence. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Who's actually going to carve out what the law says and say, yes, you can do that. We don't want any parts of that. We want all parts of you dissecting it in a manner that is advantageous to our white privilege and white supremacy. That is all they want. And let's be clear, white women have a long time tried to cloak themselves under the guise of really being here for black people, and they never have. You can go all the way back to Susan B. Anthony, even the heralded Grimke sisters, who are very big in the women's suffrage movement going back to the 1800s, the Grimke sisters. And they are heralded as abolitionists, Angelina Grimke and her sisters, but they were very, very, very vocal about the fact that what they wanted to do is learn the lessons of how to fight, against white men and the white establishment of white men so that they could use it for their benefit to get the women's movement, in place.
Right. Absolutely. I'm glad you went there because I didn't plan to go there, but I mean, just look what happened here in Georgia. 72% of white women continued to vote on the side of white supremacy, but they will get in the face of black women and say, I am your sister. We are all in this together. No, we're not. No, we're not. Not when you continue to vote against not only the interest of black women, but your own interests. And you continue to show us that time and time again. While you're trying to distract us with this fake sisterhood, you are working behind the scenes to erase us. And that's what I am seeing the mothers of Moms of Liberty doing all across the country. And this group is scary. This group is very scary because they are moving and working to not only move our history out of the school system, but to also indoctrinate us with a whitewashed history as well as with a religious history.
Well, the thing about it is, white women hated the fact that black people got the opportunity to vote before them.
Yep.
Remember, they are white, and so
Yep.
they watch their husbands, their
Yep.
fathers, their own brothers and sons carry that mantle of white privilege and breastplate of white supremacy, and they wanted that for themselves. They are the reason why whole civilizations have been burned to the ground. They are the reason why whole cities have been burned to the ground. They are the reason for the genocide and slaughter for entire nations, white women. So I'm never going to be here for these ladies and the things that they did. Now I'm not going to pay all white women with that broad
Right.
stroke, but
Right.
a very vast good amount of them are the same way. Now the deal is this: what they're really trying to hide is, because see, as we come into the information age, we become more knowledgeable, more learned, and we don't have to rely just on their textbooks. We
Right.
can actually go and do true and real research. And what is going to happen is they will begin to be exposed. When you start to really uncover and unpack a lot of history, white women are afraid of being exposed for the true nature and history of their involvement in what really happened in this country. And when that gets exposed, now, their slip is going to show, and they don't want that at all.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
they know with children, and the dangerous part of all of this is the fact that if they don't know their history, and they believe, and they can wash away the slavery and what it did, its impact on this country, they know they can get a whole generation of kids to now believe that this country is a wonderful nation high on the hill and has always done right by the citizens and people to which it was born. I keep telling Black people, we better learn from our Native American and indigenous population, because they had their whole history wiped out and rewritten. We've never learned the true history of what happened between Native Americans and white people. We've never got that. Absolutely have never got that story. And they're trying to make it where the same thing happens to Black people. We will never know the true story and true history of what happened to us as a people. And they want our people to, they want a whole generation of Black kids to go through life thinking that everything is good, and then they can do all of these horrible, heinous, and horrific things to a whole new generation of Black people, and they thinking it's okay.
Mm, 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 mm.
Teachers across the country are being fired.
Yep.
I'm not making this up. School board superintendents are being fired. Principals, administrators are being fired for actually doing what we call in education true pedagogy, true instruction, true education. And people are being fired for doing their jobs. But in the next breath, they're going to cry, kick, scream, and complain about teacher shortages. I don't understand it. Help me make it make sense.
Mm. Well, I found two articles where it talks about the Daughters of the Confederacy, and it talks about Moms of Liberty. And I wanted to go into these two articles, and I got the video for what went down at that board meeting in Berkeley County, South Carolina. So I know you got things you want to do, but if you want to hang out, I would appreciate it, because like I said, you have an expertise and insight from the educator's point of view, and I know you can add to the story that I am telling.
Mm.
These women are scary. They scare me. When I saw what went down at that school board meeting, I was like, oh my God. And hey, Really B, let me bring you up. Really B is another educator. When I saw, once they were sworn in, and how swiftly they moved to put their agenda in place, I was like, oh no, I got to talk about it. And I got to talk about it. And I got to let people know that the Moms of Liberty are the new Daughters of the Confederacy. Hey, Really B.
Hey Tabitha, what's up, El Teddy? How you guys doing?
Hey,
Can y'all hear
I'm
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm
Okay.
doing well. So the first article that I got, child, I don't even know if I could do this. Let me see. I can't do this with I can't show the article and have y'all up here. Can I?
Yeah,
yeah,
Wait.
if you go down to was it share screen or what is it, El Teddy?
mm,
What's it called?
this share
Okay, wait.
screen, I believe.
Share screen. Okay, let me hit it. Uh I want to share. Okay. I want to share this article. Now, I had never seen this blog site before. I had never, let me turn this down over here. Hold on. I had never seen this blog site before, but I felt that it was on point. And Really B is a history buff, so she can correct if things are wrong in this article, y'all. So we gonna get into it. This is the name of the blog, Scary Mommy, and they talk a lot about what's going on with Moms of Liberty.
Hmm.
Why you say that, Really B?
I just I'm at work, so I'm in and out, but it's day before Thanksgiving, so I don't really have a lot of kids or anything.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to follow the conversation. That's all.
Okay, so listen, L Teddy and Really B, they are active here on YouTube. Really B also has a TikTok page for some of my TikTokers who are over here. Y'all make sure y'all follow them. Let's get into what this article is saying. I don't want to get into all of them introducing themselves. Okay, here we go. Where did the idea, this is, wait, let me go back. Okay, the secession papers written at the time of Southern states' withdrawal from the Union explicitly states that their right to continue owning slaves was the primary reason for seceding. How could anyone argue against this fact, given that we have such plainly understood and easily accessible source material? Now, what they're talking about is how the Civil War, people are talking about how the Civil War wasn't about slavery, right? And this all stems
Oh
back to
Jesus.
the Daughters of the Confederacy and how they moved to change history. And you got a lot of these racists out here.
Oh Jesus.
Really be gonna be in it. These racists out here are trying to rewrite history and say that the Civil War wasn't about slavery. Let me continue on. And yet the
Okay.
argument persists, and not in small numbers. In a Pew study done in 2011, 48% of people surveyed believed the Civil War was fought over states' rights, compared to only 38% who said it was fought mainly over slavery.
But the idiocy
Can
of
I
all of
interrupt?
that is,
Yes,
yeah,
you
I'm sorry. Go
can.
ahead, Ruby. Go ahead.
Go
What I was
ahead.
going to say is, I'm going to say the same thing that I say to my students when we talk about the Civil War. There is no argument that you can make about why the Civil War started that does not lead back to slavery. So if you say states' rights, sure.
That's the right.
Wait a minute, El Teddy, wait a minute. The South, right? The South wanted states' rights because they wanted the right to keep their slaves. So
Right.
there's no argument you can make that says it's not about slavery, because everything that the South was arguing was about the power to keep their slaves. Go ahead, El
Exactly.
Teddy.
No, that's you said exactly what I was going to say. The states' rights that they were fighting for is the right to keep slaves. Like it's just lunacy and idiocy. It's like
Right.
it's splitting your hairs. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Exactly.
just like the people who says, "Well, the Constitution doesn't explicitly say such and such." Well, that wasn't even invented at that time. There was no language for that. You know, when they try to parcel out the words of the Constitution in that manner, and so
Mm-hmm.
we're saying that, oh, it's about states' rights. The right that they were fighting for was slavery.
Was
Like
to keep their slaves,
it's,
right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All
maddening.
right. So it goes on to say, so they're talking about where did the idea that Civil War wasn't about slavery come from? And keep in mind, y'all, the reason why this is a topic of discussion is because you got the Republican Party and all of their fascist, racist people trying to rewrite history. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps the greatest contribution to the lie that the Civil War was not about slavery comes from a group called the United Daughters of the Confederacy. This group influenced generations of Americans, especially in the South, to develop a softer, more forgiving view of those who fought in the side of the Confederacy, of those who fought to keep other human beings enslaved for their own financial gain. Okay, so the Daughters of the Confederacy moved to pretty much try to rewrite what really went down. Who are the daughters? The United Daughters of the Confederacy, organized in 1894. The UDC claims it is the oldest patriotic lineage organization in the country. Their website states their goals as, among other things, to honor the memory of those who served and those who fell in service of the Confederate States, to protect, preserve, and mark the places made historic by Confederate valor, to collect and preserve the material for a truthful history of the war between the states. Listen, I want y'all to think about the summer where Black Lives Matter was protesting all across the country, which led to a lot of those Confederate statues being torn down. Y'all remember that? Those statues were put up by the daughters of the Confederacy. They tried to present these racists who were fighting to keep their slaves, they tried to present them as heroes.
Most of them were put up during the 1950s and 60s as a intimidation effort during the civil rights era.
Exactly.
I didn't know, because when I think about that, that was just only a few years ago. I didn't know.
People think that
and that's what a lot of people don't realize, that
those things came as intimidation factors during the civil rights eras, not way back during the 1800s or even the early 1900s.
This whole love for the Confederacy was birthed out of a response to the beginning of the civil rights era, and like El Teddy said, as a intimidation tactic. Like I tell my students, when we think about the Confederacy, two things I want people to remember. Number one, we never celebrate the loser. They lost. Where else do you celebrate the loser of a war? And number two, it was treason. So why are we celebrating people who attacked our country? Why are we celebrating people who they were traitors? They said, we no longer want to be a part of the United States of America. And not only do we no longer want to be a part, now we're going to attack the South. South Carolina attacked the United States of America and started the Civil War. So when we talk about the Confederacy and they say, oh, it's about pride, oh, it's about heritage. No, it's about treason. Like, let's peel back the layers. It's about treason. So again, we're celebrating the losers that were traitors to our country. I'm just saying.
I could see us having a modern day version of that, because I could see them absolutely celebrating the terrorists on January 6th.
But they are. Absolutely.
They are.
They've already rewritten that story. We're going to have holidays, statues with the shaman guy, and all kinds of foolishness. Oh, that's what we're going to.
And that's what the dangerous part. A lot of people and that's why, y'all know I got burnt out. But that's why I love what Tabitha does and what El Teddy does, and even Tabitha's her group of people that she collaborates with over on TikTok. Because it is important for people to continue to tell the story, because the whitewashing has already started. When we have a whole Republican Party that wants to pretend like what happened on January 6th wasn't a big deal, and it was just
it was a tourist day.
I told El Teddy this conversation. I had this conversation with one of my coworkers, a white guy. It was the scariest thing to me. One of my coworkers was like, that wasn't a coup d'etat. Now, this is a social studies teacher. He understands history. He's probably more studied than I am, as far as, reading different books and all about different history. And he's like, oh no, that wasn't a coup d'etat. What are you talking about? They weren't trying to take over. They were just protesting. I mean, what about Black Lives Matter? And when I tell y'all my mouth hit the floor, I said, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Are you really comparing what happened on January 6th to anything dealing with Black Lives Matter? And the fact that he was so quick to be like, well, what about Black Lives Matter? It just tells me where we are. This is somebody, had you said to me before the insurrection, if you had said to me that this was a person that would take the side, I would argue with you and say he would never do that. And now I'm listening to him defend these people. It's scary. It's scary.
It is. And so the post goes on to talk about how the Daughters of the Confederacy rewrote history. And so it says, the Daughters of the Confederacy is most famous for erecting hundreds of Confederate statues across the southern United States and then fighting to preserve their placement when people pointed out how offensive and racist those statues were and asked for them to be taken down. But the Daughters of the Confederacy's other actions had an even broader impact than the mere placement of statues memorializing white supremacist generals. The group had a massive influence on the selection of textbooks and history curriculums throughout the South, placed thousands of Confederate portraits and flags in public schools in the early 1900s. They hosted essay contests with themes such as the origin of the Ku Klux Klan and the right of secession. The Rutherford Committee of 1919, named for prominent UDC member and avowed white supremacist Mildred Rutherford, gathered members of the Daughters of the Confederacy and other Confederate heritage associations and produced a 23-page pamphlet called A Measuring Rod to test textbooks and reference books in schools, colleges, and libraries. And this just makes me think about all of the books that they are trying to ban these days. That is done by the Moms of Liberty. This pamphlet demands on page 5, reject a book that says the South fought to hold her slaves. It elaborates in the coming pages with subheadings like the North was responsible for the war between the states. The war between the states was not fought to hold the slaves, and slaves were not ill-treated in the South. Slaves were not ill-treated in the South. The North was largely responsible for their presence in the South. It goes on to talk about why this matters today. A not insignificant segment of the U.S. population believed the bloodiest conflict fought on American soil was fought over a vague, nebulous idea about states' rights, that the North was an aggressor and the South a hapless yet heroic victim, that slavery was peaceful and enjoyable for the enslaved, and that the Ku Klux Klan was a reasonable, if not esteemable, organization. Generations of American children attending public schools in the South, estimated to be close to 70 million in number, were taught these twisted narratives between 1889 and 1969, the height of the Jim Crow era, based on the 2011 Pew study and conversations held or anywhere in the southern United States. The myths persist. And now, all of what is taking place today, like Really B said, they are now trying to rewrite, and whitewash what is happening today.
This is very calculated. It's very strategic. And please do not believe that these white women work in a vacuum. These white women absolutely sleep in the same bed with some of the most racist and heinous people to walk the face of the earth. And so what they intend on doing is carrying on, because let's be clear, at the time, they didn't, many of them knew they couldn't hold political office. They could not be movers and shakers in politics, but they could go down to that school board building. And they could go about wielding their own white supremacy and white, privilege, because the iteration of voting for school boards and things like that is a recent thing. Like, really, be how long have we been voting? Because those things used to really just be appointed in a lot of areas. And I know in my own area that out of Miami-Dade County, the election of school board members goes back to the 70s in Miami-Dade County. and
Mm-hmm.
everything before that was just selected. And so when you talk about these women having so much influence within curricula and so forth, they ended up being able to use those as their own weapons of being able to influence politics, culture, and so forth. Because if you can reach the children, you can really change the whole
Yep.
outlook of a whole generation of people.
Yep.
And I want to say this, and something you read in that article, Tabitha, that I think people need to be very aware of, that you may not be aware of, because if you're not, you don't think about those kinds of things. But when you
Mhm.
think about the business that is textbooks and
Mhm.
curriculum,
Mhm.
when you think about the business of resources and supplemental resources,
Mhm.
that is big business. I mean,
Mhm.
people make a lot of money writing these resources and these support to resources. And when, more so, in my opinion, I'm biased, but more so when we talk about social studies and English, when we talk about the selection, and El Teddy can speak from the English aspect, but when the selection of what books, what passages, what poems we're going to use to teach our kids, when we
Mhm.
think about the language that we're going to use and what we're going to keep in and what we're going to keep out of history, it becomes a very big business. And
Mhm.
so when you read in that article, like El Teddy said, listen, voting is important. Voting is important, but I always tell people, El Teddy and I, we always stress, on our podcast, we always stress, listen, you got to get in these schools, parents. And here's the misconception too. You don't have to be a parent or have a child in that school. If you have a school in your neighborhood, you have a right to participate in the PTA. You have a right to participate in, we don't even call it PTA anymore, but you have a right to participate in the school board meetings. You have a right to participate because you are a stakeholder, because you pay taxes that go to that school. So you don't have to
Wow.
have a child at that school to go to the meeting. You don't have to have a child at that school to go meet the principal and talk to and see what's going on in that school building. You have a right to be in that room. And when it comes to going to these school board meetings, listen, the school board gets away with so much because most of the time we don't show up. We don't show up. And so when we talk about curriculum and what's in the textbooks and what the kids are
Mhm.
learning, you we I'm gonna say we have to stay on the front lines of that conversation, because we know that words mean things. And changing the word slavery to involuntary servitude, it may not seem like a big deal to a person that it's not a part of their history, but and I know it takes a whole lot of teeth out of what it is. Who was
Mhm.
that just got? Who was it? I just saw something where they were like, "Why are we always talking about slavery? Why?" I was watching I was listening to a YouTube video, and somebody was talking about. And they were like, "We're not talking about slavery right now. We're talking about," and the person responded, "It's always about slavery."
Always.
So we have to understand that those things are important, and and
Another
and and,
thing that's
and how
happening,
embedded it is.
another thing that's happening across the country to show you how this thing has really evolved. Remember, I told you they started voting in school board members around the 70s. Nationally, there's always been a thing. They tried to leave the schools untouched. That's why I'm putting up my quotation fingers. But you never had to declare a political party to run for school boards. Most
Hmm.
school boards, there was written into a lot of states' laws where school board, when you ran for school board, you ran outside of the confines of having to declare a party. Now you see across the country where they're forcing people running for school boards to declare a
Hmm.
political party so they
Hmm.
know which side of the fence you run on. And so now they can attach a whole ideology, a whole way of thinking to individuals on the school board now so that they can align the school boards the way that they see fit. And they're
Right.
forcing the hand of these things because they want it all out on the table so they can vote. That's what happened here in the Charleston area.
Mhm.
They did what they supposed. People, very few, really be. You may know more of the numbers than I do, but very few places have elected superintendents. Mind you, the
Yeah, very
superintendents
few.
run the school system. They are the
Mhm.
day-to-day CEO of a school system. They're not
Mhm.
elected. They're appointed by that
Yeah.
board. And if that board
And they serve at
is
the pleasure.
right, and if that board is racist and discriminatory, and they don't like that superintendent, they can fire them at will whenever they want, and put whoever they want in there to run the schools that are
which
here.
is what happened down in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what happened. Let's get into this other article. I don't want to take up all of y'all time. I want to get through this because I appreciate y'all. This other article talks about. Wait, did I pick the right one? Oh Lord, I didn't pick.
That looks like the same one.
Yeah, hold on. Okay. This one goes into Moms of Liberty because what El Teddy said about once you get the person on the school board and they can pick and who they choose, who they want to be the CEO of the school system. This is what Moms of Liberty is doing all across the nation. They are getting their candidates to run for school board across the country. And once they get onto that board, they move to work with put their agenda forward and get rid of anything I call black. It's let me just get into it. Okay, so I don't want to read all of the fluff. Mom for liberty, fight for parental rights. Now that's their rules. They're telling you that they're fighting for parental rights of the parents. And I'm like, when did they not have rights in the past to speak up for what it is that they wanted to go on in their school system? But this is their rules. The Moms of Liberty Facebook page claims the group is dedicated to fighting for the survival of America by uniting and empowering parents. When you look at the pictures on the Moms of Liberty's Facebook page, there are no people that are a part of their group that look like us. Let's be clear. People who look like us are not a part of this group. They are not trying to include us in these parental rights that they're fighting for. Okay? Did you know America's survival was at stake? No, wake up and red pill sheeple. What? They claim that they witnessed how short-sighted and destructive policies directly hurt children and families, and that they stand together against government outreach. Children and families don't include our children or our families.
I mean, the sad truth is they're always talking about parental rights, and we don't want our children to feel, slighted, but that's only white children, because they don't want to talk about the slight that our children have had to live with since they entered the doors of every school building that they've ever been in.
Fact. Yep. Again, yes, it's their children. Yeah, right.
It's their children. Their children should not feel like they are an oppressor, should not feel discriminated against, but it's okay for our children to deal with racism at a very young age. The 9-year-old little girl who her neighbor called the cops on her and said she called her a tiny woman.
How many mock slave auctions have we seen in the last 5 years?
In the last 5 years to pick cotton. You taking children on trips to pick cotton, but it's okay for black children to feel a certain kind of way. Deal with it.
The kindergarten students that they had get into what they call the slave pose when they had them quote unquote doing exercises and stuff like that, and said get in the position like the slave at the bottoms of the slave ships.
That's okay. That's okay for our children. But for white children to learn the true history of their ancestors, that just cannot be. let me go on. This is a lot of political posturing that boils down to we fight tooth and color street nail against any policy we disagree with. And Trump is a hell of a drug, so we disagree with basic tenets of social justice. You know what? I really do need to sign up for this blog because whoever's running this blog is on it. These militant Karens will do this under a rallying cry of parental rights and parental choice. Quote, the real issue here is you believe you must protect children from parents, end quote, said one Moms for Liberty member at a Brevard County School Board meeting in March. I reject that notion. Parents as a whole are more trustworthy than any other government entity, end quote. I don't believe these crazy ass parents are more trustworthy than our government entity. I don't. They've proven to me that they cannot be trusted. But moving on, moreover, they will bring said rallying cry to a local level rather than knocking on doors or working for senators. They'll start screaming at your school board members. Yes, your school board members. The overarching goal is to have a parent in a Moms for Liberty shirt at every school board or county commission meeting from now on until the end of time.
I have some very good friends up there in Brevard County. That's up there in Melbourne, Florida area. That's the central east coast of Florida. And they are relentless in that area. I have a friend of mine who's on the school board there. Only black person on the school board. And they're ridiculous. Like they are ridiculous. Ridiculous. They moved to shut down, really be the whole online textbook, remove the whole online textbook because it mentioned slavery. Mind you, they don't even have physical textbooks. So students in history class have no textbooks at all.
Wow.
The history teachers have to pull their own material, which then must go through a whole approval process in order for them to say whether it is good or not. This is what we got going on in 2022.
This Moms of Liberty group is dangerous. This article goes on to say Anthony Colucci, president of the Brevard Federation of Teachers, says that Moms for Liberty has turned school board meetings into the Jerry Springer show. Oh, look, they got a black woman. They got a black woman. What's going on here? I got to find out what this is about.
Well, they always find one.
Presenting.
Well, yeah, you're right.
I was gonna say they always gotta have one.
Okay, so I can be sitting in a meeting minding my own business, and they turn around and scream at me that I am a commie, and teachers want to see all kids fail, Colucci told the Washington Post. This group brings out the worst in people. And I can pinpoint when this group really started to get on the map. There was this viral video of this woman talking about she didn't want CRT in schools, and that doesn't mean she's a racist. They've been disrupting school board meetings in Sarasota, screaming about it started with mask mandates. That's when it started. Screaming about mask mandates and critical race theory, even showing up at school board member Shirley Brown's house. Wonder if that's who she is. Anywho, showing up at where is it? Shirley Brown's house, while board members in Lucia Mar Unified School District, Moms for Liberty held a peaceful protest while shouting about vaccinations. They have already participated in efforts to recall 3 board members in the district. In Bend, Oregon, protests and harassment at school board meetings have become so vicious that Bend Lapine School Board Chair Melissa Barnes, I can't pronounce her last name, read a statement saying the board welcomes dialogue but condemning the ongoing harassment and intimidation primarily focused on board members of color. There it is right there.
Well, the thing that they want to happen is they want people to get tired, frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
and apathetic and pick up their bags and say, I don't have
Mm-hmm.
that type of energy. Because it's at certain points, it really becomes a safety to life issue. Because these are the very same people that when people are trying to drive home, they're, huddling around people's cars, banging on people's cars. Like, this is the craziness that
Mm-hmm.
goes on in these areas. And they really want people to just pick up and say, okay, I can't deal with this no more. And I'm just going home because I need to think about myself, my family, and my kids, which I don't blame people for.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
then we end up where these people are running,
Yep.
running everything.
Yep. Yep.
But the
And
funny thing is, the part that I don't think that people are connecting is like, and I think El Teddy said this a little while ago. You push, 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 and then we're dealing with. We already have a teacher shortage. We don't have enough teachers. We don't have
Yep.
enough subs. We don't have enough administrators. Like in my county, the state, well, not just my county, the state where I work, the state board of education is thinking about creating schedules now where administrators are teaching classes. That's how bad it is that they're putting vice principals and principals back in the classroom to teach at least one class per day. That's how bad it is. So like you're pushing, 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 and I don't know who they think is waiting in the wings to take
Right.
the place because they're not coming into the school and teaching these
Nope.
kids.
Right. Right. I think down in Florida, El Teddy, help me out. I think down in Florida, Ron DeSantis was looking to hire veterans because the teacher shortage is so
mhm.
bad down in Florida.
Veterans, they were even going toward police officers
Mm.
or former police officers because that's a great idea, right?
No
Right.
formal, no formal education. You didn't have to have a degree or
Right.
anything
Nope.
like that
Nope.
Well,
because
that's
the
because
teacher
they
shortage
think
is
that.
so bad.
Well,
I'm
and
sorry.
part of the problem is, and I said this again, El Teddy can attest to this. I've been preaching this since
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic, since they first sent us home with the pandemic. And what I've been
Mm-hmm.
saying all along is, and if people didn't believe it, then the pandemic proved it. People don't respect what we do. We are babysitters to them.
Yeah.
And if people weren't convinced of that, go back to the pandemic and look at all these probably these same parents,
Mm,
these same people were out there protesting. They didn't give a damn about whether school was safe. They didn't give a damn about teacher safety, about the fact
yep.
that teachers have families too. They have
Yep.
kids too. They have elderly parents too. They just wanted the schools to open back up. Because why? Because they could not be inconvenienced to deal with their children for 8 hours a day. They realized exactly who their kids were and what they were dealing with. And when you think about it from that aspect, that people only see us as babysitters, then they think that the parts are interchangeable. They think that a math teacher is the same as a social studies teacher, is the same
And
as
it's
an
not.
English teacher, and it absolutely is
Wow.
not. But that's
And
what they see us as. So as
Yeah.
long as they only see us as babysitters, they're never going to respect the level and the complexity of what it is that we do.
and when the chickens come home to roost is what's starting to come out when we look at test scores, when we look at the fact that the learning curve has begun,
Oh my
to
gosh.
rise.
Mm,
Like, we're losing an entire generation in terms of the level of education, which is going to rear its
Absolutely.
ugly head when you start talking about uh, college graduation rates, when you start to talk about people entering the workforce and the
mm-hmm.
quality of that workforce and their ability to cognitively reason or critical think and
Mm,
things like that. You're going to have a whole, and then they're going to have this sense of entitlement about them because they've been passed along
yep.
the entire time because their parents have told them, you don't have to do that. You don't have to wear a mask. Don't worry, I'll be at the school board meeting. You don't have to read that book. You don't have to learn this. Don't worry, I'm going to
Absolutely.
the school board meeting and fight for you. That doesn't work when you enter someone's job. That doesn't work when you
Hmm.
go to work. And now you have to be able to, in a lot of positions, critically think, be able to transfer knowledge and learning, and really apply some of those tenements and
Mm-hmm.
rudiments that you learned back in school.
Mm.
Yeah.
It I'm so glad y'all here because it's a huge problem.
I do have to drop off though, but thank you.
Okay.
I have to go back to class, but thank you for inviting me. El Teddy, I know he'll hold it down. I'll be in the chat
All
though.
right. Love you,
All
really
right.
big.
I love y'all too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
And happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope everybody has a great week.
Same to you. Let me. Where did I stop with this article? Hold on, y'all. Wait. Where am I? Okay, here we go. So it's become such an issue that the Department of Justice released a memo on October 4th saying that in response to pleas from national groups representing school administrators, it would be deploying federal law enforcement officials around the country to help stop people from essentially threatening to murder school board members. As these acts of malice, violence, and threats against public school officials have increased, the classification of these heinous acts could be the equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism and hate crimes, said the heads of the National School Boards Association in a direct plea to the White House. And here's an update on them basically calling Moms of Liberty a domestic terrorist group. The Department of Justice have come out and apologized for calling them that, which in a sense validates for them what they're doing as okay. And it will only get worse from this point in. When they apologize to this terrorist group, it validated for them what it is that they're doing.
Which is why I have not been here for Merrick Garland since he got in there. Not been here for him. Not been here for him and his light-handed stance on everything. Everything. He's just way too passe about everything. So now you coalesce and acquiesce to the demands of this whole terrorist group, right?
That's what they did. And this happened as I was doing research and finding, articles that helped me with my points. That's what I came across. The Department of Justice has apologized, and Moms of Liberty and those who support Moms of Liberty, they are celebrating it. Why? Because it validates their movement. Harassing, threatening to murder school administrators, intimidation, it validates all of that for them now. Let's move on. So what are Moms for Liberty protesting? Answer: whatever hoves into their line of vision between visits to Hobby Lobby and their local megachurch. And let me tell you something. Hobby Lobby, they love Hobby Lobby. And Hobby Lobby in itself is problematic. Did y'all see? I did a live telling y'all what Hobby Lobby is about. Hobby Lobby is owned by religious zealots. And Hobby Lobby has also been fined for stealing Black artifacts, Egyptian artifacts. Gotta have a piece of those Negroes some kind of way. While we advocate against them, while they were founded on opposition to any and all COVID restrictions because keeping people alive is communist or something, Moms for Liberty has set their sights on critical race theory. And the guy who put all of this in motion, I don't remember his name, maybe you do, El Teddy. The guy who put all of this in motion came out and said, it was just to stop critical race theory. There is no critical race theory in the public school system. He admitted it. But him introducing it has put all of these crazy people on the bandwagon for this movement that really doesn't exist. There is no factual basis for them to be against critical race theory.
Let's be clear. It's not even about critical race. It's what they've been doing the whole time. The fact that they can change the name of slavery to involuntary, what do they call it? Involuntary servitude or something like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can try to change the name.
They're going to change the name for natives to
so they're changing. They're changing Black history or
Yeah.
history involving Black people or African Americans to CRT, and they can then get away without sounding racist by saying we don't want no Black history taught. We don't want no history of African American people taught, and they can
Mhm.
change the name and
Mhm.
change the moniker and say we don't want no CRT taught.
Very good point.
Same thing. They just changed the name,
Yeah.
and they want to get away with it. And so white people love rallying behind anything that's going to help them hold their white supremacy and white privilege.
Mm.
And they're afraid. They
Yeah.
are absolutely afraid of the existential threat to their majority in this country.
Yep.
The problem is this: they're focusing all their attention over here on us Black people, when the Latinx people are going to be the ones that's going to take them out, and the Latinx people want their own white supremacy, like they have or
True.
supremacy. They ain't here for us Black people either.
Right. They ain't. That vastly misunderstood idea that systemic oppression and racism has shaped the American experience for both whites and BIPOC alike. The Venn diagram of people who understand critical race theory and who fly the "Don't Tread on Me" Gadsden flag does not exist. This has led moms of liberty parents like white mother of three, Robin Steinman, to say that second graders learning about Martin Luther King Jr. will lead them to believing white people are oppressors and minorities are victims, which is a gross oversimplification, but generally what was going down during the civil rights era. So mission accomplished. Accomplished. You know they love to tell us stop playing the victim.
Right.
Whenever you're talking, whenever you're speaking out against racism, they like to say you're playing the victim card or the race card, right? Right?
That's easy for them to say.
Yeah. hmm Robin Steeman's only school age child goes to private school, but who's counting? Moms for Liberty has also publicly posted video of homecoming parade float belonging to a Franklin, Tennessee high school pride club and hit school board meetings decrying its existence. They claim same-sex high school couples kissed in front of younger students, and you know what the Bible says about that. Check your biblical index under high school gay homecoming. Also, Moms for Liberty was publicly posting pictures of underage kids making out. Then there was the seahorse of incident. Once there was a book intended for first graders. The book was called Seahorse, the shyest fish in the sea, and it dared to show seahorses clasping tails and touching bellies. This sent the Karens in Franklin's Mom for Liberty group clutching their pearls because, in case you didn't know, that's how seahorses mate. The Karens demanded that the book be banned, deeming it appropriate only for eighth graders. They also object to Johnny Appleseed calling his story sad and dark and said that first graders were too young to hear about possible devastating effects of hurricanes. Hurricanes, as everyone knows, are best experienced firsthand. Throw them into Hugo and let them learn in the real world. There's more. For example, Tina Desovich ranting about new sex ed standards, which dare to teach third graders that there are more than two genders, will make any self respecting human want to chew glass. There are now 135 chapters of Moms for Liberty in 35 states, and they're poised not only to harass local school board members, but to begin influencing state elections, which should make all of us want to walk quietly into the sea. But instead of walking quietly into the sea, where's my lefty bestie at? I'm in this corner fighting Deskovich and minions, but one of you out there can do it grassroots style. We can't let these Karens and their bad highlights win all the things and run our country into the ground. Where are my comrades who want to get behind comprehensive sex ed and mask mandates and critical race theory? Oh, you're out there. you're reading this. So, in the immortal words of Jason Mewes, what are you waiting for? Get your ass up here. So,
You know me, I be over on my channel, as they say, blathering about.
yeah.
But you know, they want us to become weary and well doing.
Yep.
They want us to become apathetic. They
Yep.
want us to just say, enough is enough. I'm tired. And you know, when you stop fighting, you invite death. When you stop fighting, you invite death on yourself. And it may not be a physical death, but it could be the existential death of your freedoms in this country.
Yep.
Why you think so many states still have slavery on the books
On the
if you're in
books.
prison? If you are in prison, you can absolutely still become a slave in
Yep.
very many states in this country. If you are LGBTQ plus, please be clear. There are already lawsuits in the great state of Texas, governed by Governor Hot Wheels, that are looking to do away with sodomy laws so that it becomes illegal to be gay in the state of Texas.
I'm going to show the video, Toria. We're going to get into that. Gorgeous Black Woman said Gen Z ain't having it. You absolutely right. Gen Z is on a whole other level. And what they are trying to do now to stop Gen Z, they're trying to raise the voting age. It'll never happen. I think that would take a constitutional amendment. I'm not 100%, but
Yeah,
I don't think that.
voting age is a constitutional. It's in the
Okay.
Bill of Rights. It's in the Bill of Rights. So
Yeah. So yeah, that won't happen. But instead of listening to the voices of Gen Z, listening to voices of teachers like El Teddy and Really Be, no, they don't want to listen to any of that. They would rather shut you out, push you out, so that they can do what it is that they want to do to uphold their white supremacy, because that's what all of this is. All of this is maneuvers to uphold white supremacy. And if that means shutting down democracy, then so be it.
well, I don't know how much I feel that good about Gen Z, because I'm looking at these young people and they are
Mhm.
just as racist as their great grandparents. Some of the things, because let's be clear, maybe Tabitha, when I was in high school back in the late 90s, people were, we just didn't know, but we wasn't having as many of these racist tirades in high schools and stuff like that, because we was about that life. Now you talk about that life, I wish somebody would talk about some of these things that these kids are enduring now. Talk about, are we going to go pick cotton? I was remember being in high school, it would have been no way in the world we would have had no picking no cotton. You damn sure wouldn't have had no slave auctions. You damn sure would be out here proudly, you know, calling people N-words and stuff like that. Where about that life? You would have got drugged. It would have been a whole thing. Hell, we would go and watch movies and come out the movies and be ready to go off. Remember Higher Learning? Remember when everybody would have watched Higher Learning and we left the movie waiting for a white person to say the wrong thing? You know,
Listen, for all of the people that don't know, me and El Teddy, we grew up in the same areas. I told El Teddy, I feel like we have met at some point, because all of the areas that he frequents down in Miami, I know about them. But me and El Teddy are vastly different in age. But yeah, so when he's talking about that stuff wouldn't go on in high school, it being that I went to high school in the same area, he speaks the truth. There is no way,
no
no
way.
way you would talk that racist shit to us in high school.
Even
No
some of the
way.
teachers, even how some of the teachers,
Right.
you see, that's been saying this crazy stuff. I dare you. Listen, yeah, you'll be calling my house. You'll be calling my house, and when my people come out to this school, they gonna
Okay.
have a whole nother meltdown. You're gonna have a whole nother problem.
Right. Right. So and I don't know. I believe the Gen Z that I see actively out there on social media speaking out against fascism, they give me hope, El Teddy. They give
I
me
know,
hope.
but I see some of the same
I
generation
know,
Zers
I know.
that be all the way on the other side of the ball game, and I'll be like, Whitney Houston lied to us again. The children are not our future. They are not our future.
All right, El Teddy, I'm gonna go into showing this video. You want to stay around? You good, or you
I'm
need to
good for
bounce?
now. If I need to hop off, I will. I ain't
Okay,
yeah, I got a few more minutes, so yeah, I'm good for now.
okay. Let me share the screen. Let's see. Let me see what we looking like on this end. Okay, so let me go over here and press the play button. Now, I bypassed a lot of the fluff that took place before we got into the gist of it, and I'm probably going to have to fast forward. But I wanted you all to hear this man's message, is why we're starting from here.
Chairman McQuillan, board members, Mr. Jackson, y'all look great up there. I'm really happy to see you all there. I know you've been attacked quite a bit this evening, and that's okay. I know at least.
And let me the people he's talking to are those new board members that were sworn in. And these board members were backed financially throughout their campaign by the Moms of Liberty group, the new daughters of the Confederacy.
It's the 6 of you on the left. I know you very well. I know your character. Pastor Leifridge, I think you know me. I'm a youth minister in the area. I know these 6 very well. And as we communicated through the campaign, I will tell you that.
Let me also say that the person that's next to this camera, she ain't feeling dude. Okay, so y'all gonna hear her. That's not me. That's the girl next to this video camera that's recording this man in this speech.
That most of our communication sounded more like Bible study and prayer requests than it did like a political campaign. So I assure you, these are wonderful Christian people. So, wow, you're going to really impugn the character of someone and tell them that they're not a Christian? That's, woo. All right. Well, I'll tell you. The fact that I know you all will be led by the Holy Spirit gives me great comfort. And I will tell you the same thing that I told.
Yeah, time's up. Thank you.
Excuse me. I will tell you the same thing that I told Ms. Bradley on the night of the election.
Your time
when
expired.
I called her, I congratulated her, and then I told her.
Sir.
And then after I congratulated her, I told her, I stand ready to assist you in any way that I can.
All right.
Please call me if you need anything.
Is on. Mr. Dr. Hanley, he is correct. He did call me, he congratulated me, and he said he would work hand in hand with me. But I need all of you to work hand in hand with us. Tonight is not a night that I am a Christian. I am so sorry. I asked Pastor Drayton, didn't realize that was him, to speak to me. Because what we're about to do in this session, ladies and gentlemen, you are being fooled by these 6. Okay, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
All right, we'll have
unbelievable
you can
what
be
the chairman would do. It is so unbelievable how this is going. And we voted for these people. You did.
All right.
You took the time. See, he wants to shut me up, but my sister knows.
We run an orderly meeting here, maybe.
We are orderly, decent and in order. Ann Condon talked about the full armor. Pastor Drayton, I'm going to keep that armor tonight. I'm going to keep it tonight.
The next agenda item is actions required from executive session. We have several of those this evening. We will first start with student attendance and expulsion appeal.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause and go through this because this is, yeah, they're talking about the statuses of students and expulsions. And so let me find our spot.
The last time I had occasion to discuss the fees, his fee was $370.
Okay, let me back up. I went too far.
As discussed in executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes,
Discussion.
yes.
Wait, let me back up. Sorry, y'all. I should have wrote down the time.
Nay.
The ayes have it by a vote of 8-1. Do we have a motion in the matter of student number, is it 6 or 5?
5.
5.
Mr. Chair, I move that we deny the appeal for student number 5.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it by a vote of 9-0. In the matter of student number 6, I move that we grant the appeal and allow the child to attend the alternative school. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
The motion carries 6-2. All right, we have some other items.
Now, let me say this. This guy, his name is Mr. McQuillan. This guy is newly appointed to the school board. He was sworn in just before the school board meeting started. Okay? He's the chairman of this meeting.
Out of executive session, Ms. Littleton, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to terminate the employment of Dr. Tiffany Richardson as a in-house general counsel for Berkeley County School District. And retain the services.
No, we're going to maintain order in this meeting.
And retain the services of Mr. Brandon Gaskins effective immediately as discussed in executive session.
All right, listen up. We're going to be respectful
This is the attorney that they're talking about. Black female attorney.
during this meeting. You may disagree with our votes, but I'd ask that you please be professional and calm. What kind of example are you setting for our kids?
Child.
No, we're going to be responsible and we're not going to be disruptive of this meeting. All right, Ms. Littleton, can you please repeat your motion?
Want me to repeat my motion?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to terminate the employment of Dr. Tiffany Richardson as in-house general counsel for Berkeley County School District and retain the services of Mr. Brandon Gaskins effective immediately as discussed in executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes,
Discussion.
yes.
Let me pause it right here. I want you to see the 3 on the end on the right. You have the woman right here, this woman right here, and this woman right here. Okay? Everybody else is new to the board. They were just voted in and sworn in before this meeting started, minus him. He's the superintendent.
The grounds are the,
Mr. Bradley, you're recognized.
I'm asking the question of the person who made the motion. The person who made the motion for a reason. I'd like to know what it is.
What is the cause?
I'm recognizing Ms. Bradley. You can ask that question if you'd like.
What is the cause Dr. Richardson is being removed, terminated?
I'm not going to discuss personnel matters in
Okay. The board policy needs to be revised, amended to give reason why you're terminating someone. As Berkeley County, we're looking for teachers to come in. We're looking for other employees to come in. How in the world are you going to terminate somebody without giving a reason? Teachers want to come, but if I hear in the street that you're terminating your counsel, in-house counsel.
And to bring previous counsel back to the board, back to the district.
Yes, previous counsel who bills us at $275, $225 per hour. Now, you mean to tell me you give up a set fee for some money Miss Ashley, you would know how much it is to pay. That makes absolutely no sense to a common person like me. Walking in off the street, money matters.
Mr. Bear?
I'd like to know what the fee is for Mr. Gaskins. I'm assuming he's still with Moore Van Allen.
He is, yes, sir. We discussed that.
The last time I had occasion to discuss the fees, his fee was $375 per hour. Now that is part-time. We're not talking about an in-house general counsel who is full-time employee at $145,000 a year. Let me just show you something. Those are invoices, front and back, for legal fees that total $1.6 million.
Oh, yeah.
At a cost per month, on average, of $25,946.84 from the past legal fees. The legal fees that Dr. Richardson received.
He gave with receipts, Tracy.
Per year is $11,666. A difference of $14,000 a month, ladies and gentlemen. So if we're talking about fiscal accountability, if we're talking, no, I am not finished. You're not going to stop me. If we're talking about fiscal accountability,
Mr. Barra.
if we're talking about fiscal accountability,
Mr. Barra, we have a
where is it
motion and
now?
a second to call the
These
question.
individuals ran on a platform of fiscal conservatism. Where is it?
They got the right ones. Cause see, I
We got a motion and a second to call the question.
I would have
Is there-
So you're
All in
silencing me,
favor of the
Mr.
motion?
Chairman?
Teddy,
Are you
let me
silencing
pause it so you can say what you're saying.
Just
Are you silencing me?
Say what you were saying, El Teddy.
They had the right ones because when she moved to call the question, baby, the amount of points of orders and point of parliamentary inquiries, I would have done all types of points that would have made. Oh, that's what you want to do? Let me show you how I can shut this meeting down. Call a parliamentarian. I need you to go look this up. Oh, the parliamentarian for a school board meeting is the actual school board attorney. Oh, the same lady who you want to fire right now, she's going to have to answer the question of a point of parliamentary inquiry. See, they couldn't play with me like that. That lady right there.
Okay.
And the other part that
There was a time where somebody was silenced and there was a.
Say what you were saying, El Teddy.
the other part that I'm going to say is they keep mentioning the executive session. The school board has a closed door meeting. They have a closed door meeting before we get to the open school board meeting. So what I'm saying is this was known before they came out there.
Yeah, and the lady, the silver-haired lady right here, she alludes to knowing what it is that they are doing. Right?
And so that's why I say by the time I would have got to that meeting, baby, I would have been ready. Now, would I have necessarily been able to completely stop what was going on? Probably not, but I would have tied them up in so much parliamentary rigmarole. I would have been able to really see. You ain't just gonna piss me off and get on my nerves because I'm good at getting under other people's skin the right way. Oh, this is what we want to do, then let's do it. Let's go down this road.
Just hold on, El Teddy.
The lawsuit.
There was a
Do
motion.
you recall that?
Mr. Chair, there's a motion, or Mr. Bear, there's a motion and a second to call the question. All in favor of calling the question, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, let me see. Y'all, we need to be quiet. He can't hear the ayes. So there's a motion and a second.
It's dead.
There's a motion and a
There
second
was too
to
much
call.
time in between the motion before the second.
There's a motion and a second to call the
It is
question.
dead
All in
motion.
favor of calling the question, please respond by saying aye.
See, that's where
Aye.
you're supposed to go point of
All right, all
order.
opposed?
Nay.
All right, so there's
And you see
three-
what's going
Three
on.
nays.
You see the
All right, the
difference.
motion to call the question
You're right.
passes.
You're right.
We'll now call the question. All in favor of Ms. Littleton's motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Let's have a
Nay.
standing count. Nay.
The motion carries 6-3.
Don't do it, don't do it.
That's the attorney walking out.
Watch what's the next motion.
The next-
Watch the motion. Listen carefully.
I'm-
You all have been
I'm ma-
sandbagged.
I make a motion to terminate the employment of Mr. Dion Jackson, the superintendent of the Berkeley County School District, effective immediately. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
It is discussion.
I'd like to know who made the second?
Mr. Henson,
Who
Mr.
made
Henson,
that second?
I made the motion. Mr. Henson made the second.
Oh, okay.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, there's discussion, absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Barrow, you're
Absolutely.
recognized.
I'd like to know the justification and the rationale reasoning for firing an individual who just was proficient in his first annual evaluation. What's the reason, Mr. Chairman? You made the motion. What's the reason? Why are we terminating his employment?
Mr. Barrow, I'm not going to discuss.
Right. Let me remind you, these individuals are backed by Moms of Liberty. These individuals were able to infiltrate this school board because of Moms of Liberty. This is their agenda. Anything black, get rid of it.
Personnel matters in open session.
Okay, well, we're going to continue the discussion then, because I'm not going to let it go.
Is there any further discussion?
I believe, do I have the floor, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I believe the reasoning is because of what I've been told is a unconstitutional, unlawful contract. Because Mr. Jackson's contract is a multi-year contract, and it is for a supermajority, in this case, 6 individuals that have to terminate his employment, as opposed to sometimes the simple majority. That's in his contract. Some people are believing that this is unconstitutional. I want to read into the record, because this came up when Mr. Jackson's original contract, the contract, was signed and executed by me. The question is Mr. Jackson's contract unconstitutional and unlawful? Let me read you a legal opinion from Andrea White, from White and Story, who practice only education law, which she's done for 34 years. Pay attention. Dear Mr. Barrow, I'm writing to follow up our phone conversation on yesterday, in which you asked that I provide my opinion whether the Berkeley County School District Board of Trustees may lawfully enter into a contract with a prospective superintendent where the contract contains a provision requiring that a, quote, supermajority, end quote, of the board vote to unilaterally terminate the contract. As we discussed over the past 33 years, this was written last year, I have represented public school districts across the state of South Carolina, and in that capacity have been involved in drafting superintendent contracts on many occasions. I can unequivocally say that it is common practice for a board and a superintendent to enter into a contract where the contract provides that in order to terminate the contract for no cause, which is the unilateral termination provision, a supermajority of the board must act. The practice developed to protect a board as well as a superintendent from those situations where the loss of one trustee in an election cycle. I am aware of one district where the superintendent's contract may be unilaterally terminated by a simple majority. But in my opinion, that is an anomaly. As I understand that an attorney currently working with your board has provided his opinion that a supermajority requirement violates South Carolina law, in particular South Carolina Code 591530. I have reviewed that statute and do not believe it impacts the ability of the board to enter into a county board of education, a contract containing the supermajority clause. Section 591530 states, quote, "A majority of the members of the County Board of Education shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of the business of the board," end quote. The statute merely defines a quorum and does not address the board's ability to enter into a contract requiring a supermajority for a certain action by the board. I would also note that only a simple majority of the board is required to approve a contract containing that provision. Finally, I have done research and have found no cases in South Carolina Circuit Court or Appellate Court that addresses this issue. Should a case such exist, I would have been made aware of it based upon the nature of my practice. Cases from other jurisdictions touching on this issue would have no precedential value in South Carolina, particularly where the case does not involve the right of a school board to enter into a contract containing a supermajority clause, but the applicability of a particular zoning ordinance. I trust this information is helpful. And then also, let me just add, I got another verbal legal opinion from a well-respected attorney, David Duff, who concurs with this assessment. So I do not believe that the reason why I think this board is getting ready to terminate the superintendent, I do not think it's unconstitutional. That is the contract. And in fact, I think this is a political witch hunt on their part.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
The motion carries 6-3. Mr. Henson, you are now recognized.
Thank you. As a new board member, Mr. Henson is a part of the 6-member team Dr. Hanley just referred to. I was not notified of any of these resolutions or recommendations. It is unbelievable that on the first night of a new board that such things would come up. Unbelievable.
We have another motion. We have another
Mr. Chairman.
motion.
I make,
He leaving.
I make a motion to name Anthony Dixon.
The superintendent has walked out, and all of his supporters are now walking out.
I'm kind of conflicted on that part because, like I said earlier, this is what they want.
Yeah, that's what I'm sitting here thinking. If it were me, I wouldn't have left. I would have continued to interrupt and voice my opinion as loudly as I possibly can.
Because they want you to go away so they can do all of the things that they want with no pushback.
Right. And these are teachers and librarians of the school board who support this superintendent. I don't think they should have walked out. I think they should have stayed and been loud and vocal throughout the entire meeting. They wouldn't have been able to have a peaceful meeting if it were me. But yeah.
All right, Mr. Henson, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
in these cases,
I make a motion to name Anthony Dixon as a new
So you see, El Teddy, they fire these two individuals and they readily have a person that they want to put in that person's place.
But
So,
the point that I was going to make was what they usually do is they understand that people are going to be angry, and
yeah,
they understand that people are going to go away and say, I can't wait till I can vote for them the next time. Meanwhile, during that passage of time when people are going away, they codify these rules. They
yeah,
put measures in place to make it difficult for you to get rid of all of the new things that they put in place. So then when you come back and you say, oh, we just going to vote them out, even when you do get new people in there, they've already put parameters
right,
and things in place that makes it where what they put in place that's so wrong is so difficult to get rid of and things like that. So that's why a lot of times when these things happen, you can't, just get angry and go away and let your guard down, because
right.
you really have to watch the next few moves of these individuals and how they codify the things that they have in place.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, y'all. My lawn crew is here getting my lawn together, so the little doorbell to keep going off. I'm sorry.
Superintendent of Berkeley County School District, effective immediately. In order that Mr. Dixon be immediately successfully given this mid-year transition, I further move to authorize Dr. Dixon to immediately hire a new deputy superintendent, chief academic officer, and to further restructure and reassign his cabinet with no further board action.
Second. We have a motion to name Dr. Anthony Dixon as the new superintendent of Berkeley County School District, effective immediately, in order that Dr. Dixon be immediately successful given this mid-year transition. And the further move to authorize Dr. Dixon to immediately hire a deputy superintendent, chief academic officer, and to further restructure and redesign his cabinet with no further board action needed. Is there any discussion?
And I want you to understand that no further board action needed. Every person that gets hired into the school system typically is approved by the board. When I worked for Bartow County Schools, my position as an administrative assistant had to be approved by the board. The power that they just gave this individual who's supposed to be replacing the person that they fired is no school board approval required for who you're bringing in to work with this school system that's dealing with our kids. I'm sorry, El Teddy.
There are several deputy superintendents, each one of them having an area that they're over. The one that they named is chief academic officer. This is the person in charge of all curriculum, all K through 12, all subject areas. And they would be the one that would make the determination of everything in terms of instruction for that school board, as instruction and curriculum, all of that. And that is usually, that deputy superintendent is usually the highest ranking of deputy superintendents, because they are in charge of the academic arm. And so therefore they become the number 2 to the superintendent. So you're talking about the number 1 and number 2 individual for that entire school system. And you ceremoniously, in most school districts, you do a talent search. They go out and hire companies that will go and do a search for someone qualified. They would have to come before the board. Credentials will be laid out, their experience and everything. For all we know, this could be someone who has no history of any. And then you're talking about the chief academic officer. This is someone who we need to know, do you have the credentials to do that? You have graduate degrees, plural, in education and in curriculum and in pedagogy and in educational leadership and things like that. Are all of those things being put in place? Because that is what is required, because we're talking about education of a whole group of children, K through 12.
Yep. And they just said, Yeah, we don't, whoever you want to bring in, that's fine. We don't need to review any of his credentials or review his history or anything like that. We don't need to review none of that. You do what you need to do. That's what they just said.
Discussion. Absolutely, there's discussion. Could y'all close those doors? Okay, so let me get this straight. When Mr. Jackson requested additional administrative assistance, there was an outcry from members of this board and individuals in the community that said it was unnecessary, that we were going to get top-heavy.
I don't know, Lori.
And now,
I don't know if it includes charter.
Deputy superintendent. Now we're going to hire one. We're going to add to it.
Hey,
When
Keisha.
last year it was too much. I don't understand this. So Dr. Dixon left, and he is now in Charleston County. Why?
Notice, I want you to notice those 2 empty seats next to him. Remember those 2 black ladies? They left. They left. So now he's the only voice of reason in the room.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only voice of reason in the room.
If the board, and evidently the new members that were sworn in tonight evidently had some inkling as to what was going to occur.
That's why I had to share it.
Clandestine meetings prior to this meeting.
Yep.
They were privy to what was going on.
They conspired
Mr.
long
Pickett can
before
ask those questions
this.
later. I don't know. But I will say this. This is a travesty. This is a travesty. If the superintendent is being terminated, for what cause? What cause? And let me just also say that this is unbelievable to me. If we're going to terminate, not me, if they're going to terminate the superintendent, why not have a superintendent search?
Yep,
Why bring
that's what
somebody
Teddy
back
just said.
that may be on their side and that it just be all politically upright? And you know, I respect the people who made some comments tonight, but this is a sham. This is a political hit job and this reminds me of 2016, only worse. It's an absolute travesty. And I'm upset and I am absolutely embarrassed to be on this board.
I will tell you, at the end of the day, look, we need to respectfully disagree and set good
Oh, yes,
examples
we
for our
disagree.
folks. But listen,
Oh,
the reason, I will give you the basis for my reason. I know Anthony Dixon. I know
Deion Jackson.
will do a good job.
I know Deion Jackson.
He was the chief. He was the head academic officer. I truly believe that he will be best for our teachers and children in this district, which is why I'm voting for him.
Then why is he the former? If
Because of the
they
focus.
truly believe that he is the best candidate for the job, why is he the former superintendent? He was let go for a reason. He's no longer a part of the school system for a reason. So why is he a former superintendent?
On academics and my experience with him as the principal of Phillips Simmons High School, at Kane Hoy School, and various others. You can disagree with me, but I'm telling you, I truly do believe that he will be best for our children and our teachers in this district.
Now, Mr. Chairman, you told us that you were going to have someone explain the reasoning for Mr. Jackson's termination. I'd like to hear that. I'd like to hear the rationale, the reasoning, because you promised.
We're on
that
Mr. Dixon's motion now, sir. We're on Mr. Dixon's motion now, Dr. Dixon's motion.
You've already hired Brandon Gaskins. Is that correct?
The motion.
Okay, the motion passed. So you indicated that he would be giving us an explanation, did you not? If he is our attorney, I would like an explanation as to why Mr. Jackson is being terminated.
You will get an explanation from the attorney.
Well, where is he?
Yeah, I don't believe Mr. Gaskins is here this evening.
Oh, okay. So there's no justification, there's no reasoning for terminating the superintendent, because you said we would hear tonight the reasoning. You said that, and I'm holding you to it in public arena for you to embarrass yourself.
These people don't get
So
embarrassed.
what is it? What's the reason?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Yeah, I oppose it vehemently. And the new members of this board, I'm ashamed of you for listening to this foolishness.
Motion passes 6-1. Are there any other motions associated with the executive session? I do not believe so. The next item on the agenda is temporary committee assignments if a quorum is not present. And so let me, let's figure this out. So the chair, the Committee on
So,
Academics and
that's
Innovation, Ms.
where-
Littleton, that's your committee. Who's on that committee with you?
That's
Temporary
where
committee
it pretty
assignment.
much ends. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That's why I don't like when people just get up and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, what it sounded like they were going to go to when they talked about temporary committee assignments when a quorum is not present.
Okay.
That whenever there's no quorum or everybody's not there, they can then put it in the hands of the committees to make decisions. And he's about to assign who's on those committees and in charge of those committees. And that's why I say you gotta immediately listen to all of the things that they start to do. Because what he's about to do right there is set it up. Where even if you try to do the right thing afterwards, it's going to be so hard and you're going to be caught up in so much red tape and bureaucracy that it's going to be next to impossible. A mess.
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what Moms of Liberty is trying to do all across the country. All across the country. And you see, I'm not talking about celebrity gossip and that type of stuff. So there isn't a lot of people in this chat, but this truly affects our future. And it's scary. It's scary. Because not a lot of our people know about Moms of Liberty. They know about Donald Trump, but they don't know about all of these other little groups that have popped up as a result of Donald Trump. Thank you, El Teddy. I so appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you for having me up. Listen, thank you everybody in the chat. Y'all have a great holiday weekend. Thank you so much.
El Teddy, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube. LTeddy27 official is my name on YouTube. I'm on Instagram as LTeddy27 official as well, and on Twitter, as long as we still have a Twitter, God, I am LTeddy27. I do have a TikTok, which is LTeddy27 official. I haven't really put any TikToks up because I haven't quite learned how to.
I really do want you and really be to
I kind of
get more active on TikTok.
I don't know how to do TikTok. It scares me.
Why?
I don't know. Am I going to be technically savvy enough to do TikTok? I feel like it's probably hard.
It's not hard. I don't think it's hard, but there is a huge teacher community.
Right, and I follow a lot of them over on TikTok. You and Really B's voices need to be a part of that community, because you know, a lot of people have issue with TikTok. I have issue with TikTok and their moderation system and all of that. But the one thing that TikTok allows is for you to grow. It's not at the rate of white people, but it allows you to grow. And I just think YouTube stifles voices like yours and Really B's as well as mine. They cut me off mid live and stuff, you know. So they do not be caring about me.
I really want y'all to try and branch out over there so your voices can be heard.
Like I never want to be stifled. I always feel like the voices have to be heard, even though people want to, like you say, watch more of the salacious celebrity stuff. And I'll do that from time to time. But people know that somebody has to be on top of the wall screaming from the rooftops, hey, this is happening, because once you hear it, now you're responsible for it. And people want to just close their ears and say, oh, I didn't know, nobody told me. No. There are people out here that are screaming, that are preaching it, that are saying it. You just don't want to know.
So listen, y'all make sure y'all follow El Teddy. El Teddy, is your page private on TikTok or is it public? Because I don't even follow you on TikTok.
I think it's public. I don't even know how to make my page private on TikTok.
Okay, you is the El Teddy 27 on
Yes,
TikTok too?
I think it is.
Okay. El Teddy, can you try?
I'm gonna do my best over this weekend.
I've been noticing Really B, she's been doing more and more.
I'm gonna do my best to make a TikTok this weekend.
Okay.
That's my goal. Okay. I'm
Okay. And if you have questions, I could kind of like guide you and tell you how to do certain
I might
things.
need but I'm gonna figure it out. I got nieces and nephews and people that can probably show me. I'm sure it's not that difficult.
I just from my own experience, I don't grow at the rate of white TikTok creators, but the growth is monumental on TikTok versus the growth on YouTube. YouTube stifles us, and that's just problematic for me. And I would love to see you and Really be more active on TikTok.
I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna do the best I can.
And then those little videos that you make over on TikTok, you can share them over onto your YouTube channel.
I'm gonna commit myself to try and get out this weekend.
Okay.
Try it out. See what it's all about. Me ranting and raving and bloviating about.
But it's needed. It's needed, El Teddy. We need that.
So
okay.
Thank you so much. Let me get on. I got some errands to run. Go get me some food.
Okay.
Stuff. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day, good weekend.
Right.
Happy holidays.
Same to you, El Teddy. Love you. All right, y'all. So that's all I got for y'all today. That's all I got for y'all. That is Moms of Liberty in action. We talked about who is Moms of Liberty. We talked about how they relate to the Daughters of the Confederacy. We talked about the steps that the Daughters of the Confederacy took in order to whitewash history. We see the steps that the Moms of Liberty group is taking in order to get their people into place so that they can take it even further. Okay? This is scary. And they don't plan to stop with just the school board. They plan to move right on up that political ladder. Believe me, they have an influence on what goes on in the administration. I told y'all what happened. The Department of Justice was referring to Moms of Liberty as a domestic terrorist group. The Department of Justice has since come out and apologized to them. They have influence and they are growing. It's not going to stop with just trying to whitewash history. It's not going to stop with just trying to get their people on school boards. It's going to go further up the political ladder. Thank y'all for joining me today. I got a nail appointment. I'm going to go get my nails done and pick up my ingredients for my Turkey Day dinner. I appreciate y'all. Can you put me, Dolores says, can you put up the other person's TikTok name on screen? Okay, let me go find them over. This is what I'll do. I'll go find them over on TikTok. So El Teddy, we'll do El Teddy first. El Teddy 27. Let's see if I can find him. Oh, here he is. Okay, here's his profile. Let me share my screen. So he ain't got nothing over here. No hello, no nothing. This is El Teddy. So y'all can get his information and follow him. Maybe if he starts seeing all of y'all following him, it'll give him an incentive. This is El Teddy. Make sure you follow him. He promised at least one video by this weekend, okay? He's also here on YouTube. He's very active here on YouTube. He and Really Be also, I forget, Keisha, you remember the name? Tracy, y'all remember the name of, the Teacher Project. It's called the Teacher Project 2.0. So if you have young children and you want to know what's going on educational wise, he and Really Be get together every now and then and talk about what's going on education wise over on that channel. Okay. Let me find Really Be so y'all can follow Really Be on TikTok as well. But Really Be is also here on YouTube, and she talks a lot. Her page here on YouTube, she talks a lot about celebrity news. She's a reality TV buff. She loves it. She does recaps and reviews. So make sure you're following her here on YouTube as well. But here's her page over on TikTok. Really BTV _ what does it say? Hold on. Where is it? Is it? No. Child, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Really BTV _ on YouTube. Make sure you're following her. She talks a lot of about her experiences with teaching over on TikTok. Okay. So make sure you're following her. And on that note, I am out. I love y'all. Enjoy your holiday with your family. Remember, a lot of people like to say, "Oh, you celebrating Thanksgiving." Listen, Black people like to get together with family and they show love and appreciation for family through food. So that's what these holidays represent for Black people. We show our love through food. That's our love language. And we love to get together with our family. So that's what we're celebrating, love and family. Y'all have a great holiday. Be safe. The pandemic ain't over. I know they ain't talking about it, but it ain't over. It ain't over. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Bye.